wants me to talk about God has called you by your name. And I'm going to repeat a thing 3 times here, and you have to listen very carefully. In the last days, I will pour out my spirit on my sons and my daughters. In the last days, I will pour out my spirit on my sons and my daughters. In the last days, I will pour my spirit on my sons and my daughter. I have called you by your name. Man, God is so good. And I don't care if somebody bring me a good book or a good read, but the Bible is still the best book on this whole earth. And I'm going to prove it to you. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, for I know the plans that I have for you." That's powerful stuff. Declares the Lord. Plans for welfare. He's going to make you rich if you ask for richness. Wealth. Good health. And not evil. To give you hope. Isaiah 43 verse 10 says, "You are my witnesses, declares the Lord, and my servant whom I chosen." I chose you, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am He. I mean, this is beautiful stuff. You're not going to get this in another book than the Bible. Isaiah 49:16 says, "Behold, I have engraved you on my palms of my hands." I have engraved. Did you hear anything beautiful like that ever before? Behold, I have engraved you in my palms of my hands. Can you imagine that? The Lord tells you, He speaks. Isaiah 43 verse 1. "But now, this says the Lord, He who created you." Who created you? You're not by accident here on earth. You're not an accident here on this building this morning. He created you to give you the tools, Miss Betty. When you clean that houses, you start testifying about the gospel. He who formed you, fear not, for I have redeemed you. He already did it for you. I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name, and you are mine. What more can I say? I can just put the mic down and walk away, and we do the communion and walk out the door. You are mine. We have to stop thinking in small quantities. We serve a big God. Today I'm going to put a bowl in the collection. We received an extraordinarily big bowl this week. And I'm going to believe that God is going to pay that bill and then some. Because Jabez asked the Lord, Lord, will you enlarge my territory? Enlarge my mind. Enlarge me, make me bigger, that I can be a better tool for you. We have to forget that small thinking. Oh, I cannot pay my bills this month, but God can. This week I was troubled by a person that said, oh, you are such a big pastor, and why are you going for an infusion? I have to believe that that nurse putting the needle in my arm and that doctor that prescribed that infusion, I have to believe that they are Christian and they want to help the world and that God gave them the brain to do it. I don't say you have to just totally depend on doctors. But it will be rather stupid you leaving your blood pressure tablet every day. Oh, I'm going to believe. Cannot do that. But you have to think wide, big, that God put doctors there, that God made medication to help you bring your blood pressure down. Or Alzheimer's patients get medication. This is beautiful. I read it this morning to Willie. When God's warriors go down on their knees, the battle is not over. It has just begun. When you go on your knees, the devil is rattling in his boots. Let me tell you, this country is in corruption. And last week I preached and says, we're going to not preach doom and gloom anymore. We're going to preach a positive message because that's what the devil wants us to preach, doom and gloom. And what is coming for the future. And last week I mentioned that the gospel is not preached anymore. This lady went out and went to the people in the streets and said, what's the gospel? What are you talking about? We don't know the gospel. Yes, there's prophets, but where does the gospel fit in? We are in the saving business, to save people. And this church will be fuller if all of us start walking in the streets and start talking about God. But God got a word for you. Look, you stand up for God. There's people that will hate you. There's people that will say bad things about you. I know that too well. I know that too well. But you know what? But God. If you are a straight shooter for God, people will not like you. They didn't even like Jesus. How are they going to like you? I heard a testimony of a young man that was in a metal band. He says he was goggling for Satan. And people criticize him how he's preaching and shouting when he's preaching. He says, I don't care. If I can goggle for the devil, I can shout for God. That was the most beautiful thing I saw, that this metal guy transformed into a pastor. That's what we're talking about. If you look on Facebook, you page through Facebook and you go through TikTok. And what country was there 80,000 people on a revival? I think Venezuela. There was 80,000 people. And they were singing and singing. and singing. And the revival is still going on in schools right over the country. And I had an interesting discussion with a lady on Thursday night, and they might become pastors of the city. And she said, they're going to concentrate on the youth. And Judy and Jean learned me a lot of things in life. And they said to me, but what about the seniors? I said to Judy, well, I'll take all the seniors. I'll take all the seniors. Let them take all the juniors. Seniors, much easier to work with than a bunch of children, I'm telling you. And God, that is their calling in life. That is their calling. My calling is to teach and equip and release. That's why we have the pastor's class on Tuesday night, and we're in the book of John. John, to me, is one of the best books in the whole Bible, because that's where John became the Son of Man. It's beautiful. I just want to conclude with this one more time. And I'm going to say this 3 times. In the last days, I'm going to pour my Spirit out on my sons and my daughters. In the last days, I'm going to pour my Spirit out in my sons and my daughters. In the last days, I'm going to pour out my Spirit on my sons and daughters. Consider yourself a lucky person that you can serve Him. And I have read beautiful stuff in the Bible. And I recommend everybody to open that Bible and start reading. We cannot always go on a charismatic trip over everything and everybody we hear. We have to be on fire for God. Only God. Not that I said the other people do anything wrong. We can not throw the baby out with the bathwater. We take what we can out of it and we move on, because there's only one God. And I've read it for you this morning. And now that we sing that song, there's a person that I'm going to call up today that needs prayer. And I'm going to believe for a healing today. The Lord told me how to handle the situation. So today, sing the song with all your heart and all your mind.